5 habits that took me from struggling, scraping to get by, and honestly feeling lost to building a business that hit 7 figures before I turned 30. I know this isn't some overnight success. Even you look at my Instagram now, we've posted over 7,000 pieces of content. They're habits that you need to adopt and implement every day. I also thought there were shortcuts, but here's the truth. There are no shortcuts, but without hard work and without focus, it's just wasted effort. So let's jump into it. Habit number 1 is ruthless prioritization. And this is the key thing you need to do. You need to understand what's the number 1 thing you need to do to get the results you want, and just focus on that thing and cut all the noise out. If you get invited to pointless bullshit, like people's birthday parties, dinners, things you don't want to go, fuck them off, don't go. Focus on prioritizing what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And this is where the harsh reality comes, that everything comes with a cost. You can't have everything in life. You can't eat the Domino's pizza every night and have an 8-pack. It doesn't happen. And this is where you have to choose your hard. Your hard is saying no to the pizza, to get in the 8-pack, or your hard is saying no to not going out and pissing around with your friends and actually working on your business and doing the thing you need to do. And the business that scales the fastest is the one that prioritizes on the right tasks. That's how people move ahead really, really fast, because they find the one thing, the point of constraint, and they prioritize on fixing that one thing that will then grow the business again. So they get to the next point of constraint and they reprioritize on fixing that problem. And one of the big problems I see in particular with entrepreneurs is they like fixing problems that they're good at. So for example, for me, I'm good at marketing, so I try and outmarket all problems. Whereas the reality is a lot of the problems I actually have sometimes in business are people problems or operational, and that's a big thing that you then have to go and deal with, the thing you don't want to deal with. Now, let's say you're looking to build a brand and you're looking to actually get your business out there. One of the big mistakes that happens with this, people get so focused on working in the business, they're not working on it. So they're not looking at the broad overview, not looking at the content strategy, not looking at actually how they're going to get their media out there. They're just aimlessly posting content. And this is the reality, is you have to sometimes pull yourself back, look at the bird's eye view, so then give you the ability to be ruthless with what actually needs to get done. If you look back at what gives you the high leverage opportunities to grow your business, in the beginning, so for example, you're a fitness coach or selling something online, it's going to be creating content to get views and doing outreach messages and then sales calls. Those are 3 things that are actually going to get your business to grow. So what do you need to prioritize on above anything else? Those 3 things. So if you're not sure in terms of what to do in terms of prioritizing, start with revenue. What can you do today? What can you do tomorrow that actually brings money and revenue into the business right now? Habit number 2 is relentless self-education. I spent over $270,000 on masterminds, on mentors, read over 500 books, probably 1,000 plus, watched tens of thousands of hours of educational videos. This is a reality of what it takes. Business is the ultimate personal development tool. This is how you get to the next level, because you focus on the bottleneck. And the bottleneck is at the top because you're at the top, which means if you fix you and you improve you, your business will continue to grow and you will continue to grow as a person. Now, when I'm talking about self-development, I wouldn't also suggest going back to school, because what most things are taught in schools are very outdated. This is where you need to be in the cutting edge in terms of the latest information out there, which is going to be on social media. And the best place to actually learn is from mentors and masterminds like 7-figure scaling systems. And what you have to understand is where the world is now. We're in a very, very fast-paced world. To give an example, I found a hack on our Instagram stories, which is like 5xing your story views. Now, I know reality is in 6 months' time, that's probably not going to work. But what you need to do is you need to find these things, milk them for everything they're worth now, and then find the next thing. And this is where what happens is first to market with an opportunity, milks everything out of it and gets all the rewards. And a good example of this in terms of our own business, I've recently doubled down in terms of Facebook ads, Google and YouTube ads, and the tracking on that. And we're scaling our business pretty quickly, purely just from that, because I focus on learning and developing. And that's actually come about from finding the right people to learn from, who can teach me the skills and also implement the right softwares for tracking into our business. Habit number 3 is discomfort is your new best friend. Now, growth is going to be uncomfortable. Whenever you're trying to do something you've never done before, whether it's you're going to the gym, you're trying to bench press a weight you've never done before, or you're trying to get a business to a point you've never done, you're trying to sell a new product or program you've never done, you're trying to coach a different type of client you've never coached before, it's going to be uncomfortable. But generally, the harder you push yourself, the bigger the results you're going to get. And one of the frameworks to think about a lot is if something is very hard to do, very few people are willing to do it, which means the rewards on the other side of that discomfort will be exponentially bigger. And a good example of this, of like discomfort, would actually be scaling your ad spend. A lot of people are afraid to spend more on their paid ads, even though they're making 5x, 10x ROAS, because they're worried about putting the money out there. And this is where you have to understand, you have to have skin in the game and be willing to take some type of risk to get to the next level. And the people who really push on and get really far ahead are willing to do what it takes and also put it on the line and understand that you're going to take some knocks on the chin. But with that comes strength and resilience, which will get you to the next level. And this is the number one reason most people fail, is ultimately they don't have the backbone and the spine for it. And a lot of people try to get into entrepreneurship now who probably shouldn't. It's much more difficult than people realize and overly glamorized. Whereas the reality is a lot of people were very successful being number 2 at Facebook, number 2 at Apple. If you don't think you have what it takes and you don't have the character to keep pushing through, you probably shouldn't do this, which is why resilience is one of the biggest things you need to have for you to get to the next level. Habit number 4 is extreme ownership. Transparently, we had a big problem in our business last month. Someone really fucked up. And ultimately, it had nothing to do with me, but it was my fault because I hired the person, I put them in that job role, and the thing happened. And it's my name above the door. And this is a reality you have to understand. Like, whatever problem happens in your business is your fault. If someone doesn't do your DM messages, they don't close a sales call, they're doing a shitty job. A lot of people complain about crap employees, but the reality is this. If you're moaning about your employee not being good, you're the person who hired them, you're the person who trained them. So the reality is you should probably take a very hard look in the mirror to see the person who's probably the problem is you, and you need to actually develop the skills to understand that. And the more you take ownership of problems, the faster you'll develop, the faster your team will develop, and also the more your team will respect you. If you actually look at some of the greatest football managers in history, one of the big things they'll do when a player really fucks up, to give an example, Wayne Rooney, when he got sent off in the 2006 World Cup, the managers often try and take the blame off them. So Sven-Goran Eriksson did that in that scenario. So this is where you have to think if an employee makes a mistake, one of the things you have to do is take ownership of the mistake because you put the person in the position where they can make that mistake. And your job in the business is basically to set up guardrails that has the minimal amount of things can go wrong because you set up the systems, the structure, infrastructure, so that can't happen. Number 5 is discipline over motivation. Motivation is temporary, it's an emotion, it's fleeting, it will come and go. A lot of the time, I don't feel like I can be asked to work. I can't be bothered to make the YouTube video. I can't be asked to get up and write the content. I can't be bothered to do the work I have to do. The reality is the discipline is what keeps you going. And if you think about every time you make a bad decision, you drink when you're not supposed to, you eat what you're not supposed to, you don't get out of bed, what's happening then is you're making an emotional decision, not a logical decision. And if you focus on being logical and using discipline, you will do the things you're supposed to do, you will do them consistently. And discipline is like a muscle. And it's been scientifically proven you can strengthen the muscle of discipline to become the person who actually sees things through, which is when you become more confident, things get easier. And guess what? You seem to get more lucky because you actually do the work you're supposed to. You do it very well. You do it consistently. And guess what? Over time, that compounds and then luck falls in your lap. And what happens? You become right person, right place, overnight success. And the disciplined entrepreneur is the one who scale. They get momentum, and with more momentum comes the flywheel effect, which is essentially a gravitational effect. So if you look in your business, the more fitness clients you have who get great results, the more referrals you get. You've got more social proof. People just get pulled in. So the hardest point in business is actually at the beginning because you've got the least amount of skills, you've got the least amount of resources, you've got the least amount of client results to share. So if you can push past really strong at the beginning by having the discipline just to keep going when things don't work, you will eventually become successful. I have never seen anyone fail who's worked really, really hard, done everything possible for a period of time. They will eventually win. It's just impossible. So there you have it. There are the 5 habits to change your life and become successful to become a millionaire. If you want help in terms of how to implement some of those habits, how to build your business, then hit the link below this video. We offer free coaching calls in terms of actually how to grow your business. We will give you the skill sets, give you the guides in terms of what you should do. Obviously, transparently, our goal is that you come and work with us as a client, but we will give you some tips in terms of how you can actually make money so that eventually you can come and join us as a client. So if you hit the link below this video, you can come and book a call there. If you took value from this, make sure you smash the like button, comment below any questions, and subscribe to the channel.